Hi everyone, I'm Glenn Esmond. Thanks for tuning in. Today, part 4 of the Butterfly Effect playthroughs. Today is Sweet and Low. Now, before we talk about the guitar parts and the bass parts, I just want to have a quick chat about form. That's our little music theory tidbit for the day. Form is basically just a way of describing the structure of a song. The first sort of theme gets the letter A, and then each new theme as it comes along gets a subsequent letter. For example, in a modern pop song, the chorus might be the A section, the verse might be the B section, and then the middle 8 would be the C section. And so a modern pop song might be something like A, B, C, A. Sweet and Low is binary form. Basically means there's just two sections, an A section and a B section. I like to think of section A as having sort of two themes. There's the intro riff, and then there's also the jumpy bit that's sort of based on that intro riff. And they alternate, of course, through that whole first section. And then when we get to the B section, there's almost like a B1 and a B2. The This Is Your Life part and the Too Ordinary part, to go by the vocal lines. So I'll start the playthrough on the guitar, because that's obviously where the song starts. But then I'll move over to the bass for the rest of the song. The riff starts on the 5th fret of the G string, and then there's a pull off to the open G, and then 8th fret, and then open again. And then the second part of the riff is just that same shape moved down a whole step. And there's like a little chug 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 in between every second riff. So I'll show you. A 6-3. One thing that I have to always be conscious of when I'm playing this part is it's really easy to get a lot of other strings ringing when you're playing the riff, so it's important to try and be aware of your right hand and your left hand muting on this. Up to speed. Etc. So for the second part of the riff, it's the same notes that you're hammering on this low C string, but just alternating between that and the low C string. So where you'd be doing that one and that one, now it's just eight and 6. And that is still in there the same as is still in there on that riff. But the A section doesn't have a key center as such. It's more atonal, just based around a riff shape rather than a particular key center. It features a bit of chromaticism, which is why it sounds a little bit dark, a little bit evil. And it's also the presence of that flat 5 note, the tritone, which I've mentioned a couple of times, is usually a very common note in metal. And
Yeah, evil in darkness, Joe, like I'm saying.
And the vocal doesn't really have a particular key either. It's just sort of, obviously just sort of spoken or yelled over the top. Onto the bass. The interesting thing about the rhythms in this first A section is that what the bass and drums play over the main riff is all on the up beats, the and beats. And then when we go to the second theme, the jumpy bit, it's all on the downbeat. So that's really cool because it gives that contrast, and it leaves you a little bit out of place for that first verse. And then when the rhythm all goes to the straight downbeat, it's got so much more impact. The bass is harmonically following what the guitar's doing, playing this stuff on the 8th and 6th fret again, but it plays a little chord. And so we've got 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4. So that's just playing the octave plus a 5th. We did the same thing in Take It Away, actually. So then when the band comes in, I just copy the guitar part. etc. So the best thing to do, I guess, at this point now is to just have a quick playthrough for you. All right. That's pretty much the whole A section right there, just those two themes alternating backwards and forwards until we get to the B section. I love this section harmonically. Whilst it's focused around the key of D flat major the whole time, it never ends up really resolving to that one chord until the very, very end of the whole section. You are hitting it there in the This Is Your Life part, but the vocals are singing some ambiguous notes. They're singing like a ninth. You don't really know whether these two chords are major or minor because the guitar is playing like just a 5 chord, just a straight power chord, and the vocal's not emphasizing a major or a minor third, so it's a bit ambiguous. And then when we get to the two ordinary part, it's still playing chords from the key of D flat. Again, it's ambiguous. And then finally, at the end of the section, it does this. Which is a classic 2-5-1, and that's why that payoff at the end of the song is so good. You've had this atonal A section, and then it goes into this B section, which just plays with the ear a little bit for the whole time, but then when it finally resolves and does something really like strongly melodic in that key, when you hit the 1, it's just you're home. It makes you feel like you're at home. Let's play through the whole section out of the sweet and low part into the end, into the B section.
It's not like you knew, sweet and low. Oh, sweet and low. This is your life. This is your life. This is your life. This is your
There you have it. I did notice something from a bass playing perspective that I did want to touch on. There's often a debate between whether you should use a pick or fingers. I think the best approach is just to do what suits the particular section of the song, and often I will choose to play, to even within the song itself, mix up fingers and pick. And so in this particular case, because in the A section you've got all these, it's these 16th notes. So Stewie from Dead Letter has worked really hard at making sure that he can play consistent 16ths with his fingers, but I've never practiced to that extent. So when you're doing something like that main riff, it can get kind of uneven. So I find that if you use a pick, you can really make sure that that's a little bit more of an even sound, and it's a little bit brighter sound as well. When you've got all these notes going, if you are using your fingers, sometimes it can get a bit muffled and get a bit lost, whereas there's more attack. So for something like Sweet and Low, it's great to use a pick for that whole first bit. Then when we get to the B section, because we're getting into a bit more of a groove on the kit, I want to lock in. I want to use the bottom string like a kick drum and the upper strings like a snare drum, and really lock into what Ben's doing. So. Now, of course, you can do the same thing with the pick, but the things that make it great for the heavier sections make it less good for those sections. So I find that you want a bit of a fatter sound then, you want a bit more open, a bit less attack is important, and you you really want to lay into that groove too. So you can dig in a bit more and get a little bit more groove with your fingers, I find. So that's why I do it there. And I'll do the same thing in the middle of Phoenix, or a few different things whenever it requires a bit more finesse. I prefer to use my fingers. So there you go. That's Sweet and Low. Thanks so much for tuning in again. I really appreciate it. This has been really fun so far. As I always say, please let me know if there's anything you'd like to see in these videos. I'm more than happy to cover more stuff, and as we'll go through all the songs eventually, of course, as well. Just keep me up to speed with what you'd like, and please feel free to send me a message on Facebook, Instagram if you're interested in having some one-on-one lessons and stuff. I'm happy to talk over any of this stuff with you there. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. 3 new videos a week, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.